This video is brought to you by Pirate Puss. Always keeping one eye on things.
In today's video, lots of green, special touches, and a magical clock. And here we are again in the wonderful world of construction. With luckily only a good 4 months to go, the end result is starting to come into view. We can't wait to finally admire the entire entrance area without construction work. Everything looks very promising, with plenty of water and greenery. Let's hope it doesn't stop with just these trees and plants, but that much more will be added. Everyone can now book a room at the Grand Hotel. And Efteling has released another promotional video on YouTube. However, the reactions to it are not exactly mild. Many of the questions and remarks that we already mentioned in previous videos also seem to resonate strongly with Efteling fans. On various social platforms, there are quite a few heated discussions between supporters and opponents of this hotel. We are not necessarily for or against it, but everything nowadays seems to be fought out in a polarized way. And Efteling is unfairly compared to other theme parks, such as Disney. However, we think it's not entirely fair to compare Efteling with other parks, because Efteling is unique and therefore incomparable. The strengths that set Efteling apart are often not present in other parks, and within the Netherlands, they are certainly number one. Comparing Efteling to Disney or Europa Park is like comparing apples to oranges. Wherever you stay, you can have better or less good experiences. Personally, we have only had positive experiences during our stays at Disney, Europa Park, PortAventura, and even Slagharen. All things considered, these stays were relatively cheaper. We have now stayed at Bosrijk 3 times, and once at the original hotel, which was our worst hotel experience ever. We have also stayed at 2 other hotels in the area. Since we live a short drive away, we don't see much reason to stay there again. But we also don't think we are the target audience Efteling is aiming at. As we mentioned earlier, this hotel isn't really for us, but we believe that everyone should decide for themselves whether it's worth staying there. However, what we do notice is that there seem to be quite a few people who want to flex or experience FOMO related to this hotel. But hey, to each their own. Additionally, we are curious about how much the daily dining costs will add up to, and whether the quality will be good. Unfortunately, the quality of Dutch hospitality is rapidly declining. And we don't see anything about air conditioning in the room amenities. Now, it could be that this is centrally managed, but in practice, that never works out well. A luxury Grand Hotel really should have individual climate control in each room. For now, we are taking a wait-and-see approach and hoping for Efteling that any startup problems in the first phase will be limited. And now a quick glance from the steam train at the place where we will all soon enter the park. Let's hope the hotel guests won't be too inconvenienced by this. This area will also look completely different in the not-too-distant future. Here's a look at the temporary Efteldingen shop. Let's take a moment to check on the progress of the renovation. As you can see, the shop has been significantly expanded in terms of floor space. Unfortunately, not much more is happening at the moment, besides laying floors. But this does mean that once this is done, work can resume on the interior. We also hope that a lot of attention will be paid to the interior because, as it looks now, it is very bare and cold. We can only hope that this will not be the final ceiling. Something special was promised to us, and this is still far from it. And now, let's move on to a visit to the Fairytale Forest to check on the progress of the construction of the newest fairy tale, The Princess and the Pea. A lot of progress has already been made. The building is increasingly taking on its final appearance and indeed looks very similar to that of the hotel. You can see here that they are working on the attic through a hatch. This is likely where lighting, electrical wiring, and other utilities will be installed. It is noticeable that work is being done on various walking paths. This likely means that you can walk to and around the fairy tale and the hotel in different ways. It also seems that another entrance and exit is being created, leading directly to the parking lot. What we still cannot understand is the story that this fairy tale and the hotel are supposedly connected through sightlines that emphasize the fairy tale. Sure, it's clear that both buildings share the same look, and the idea that a princess is blissfully trying to sleep on a stack of mattresses can certainly be linked to the hotel's function. But the part about sightlines is complete nonsense, as they are only in a direct sightline from a specific angle. For the rest of the 360 degrees around the building, this is definitely not the case, nor is it necessary. Unfortunately, this hotel, in terms of size and appearance, also dominates all other fairy tales in the surrounding area. This was also interesting to observe, determining the placement of the speakers for the scene. Not only do you see the specially custom-made housing for the speaker, but also the finishing plate in true Efteling style that will be placed in front of it. Once again, Efteling is using Bose speakers here, specifically the FreeSpace 360p Series 2. Let's hope these don't crackle, as we've unfortunately noticed with some other speakers recently. Here's a view from the direction of the park's entrance and the hotel. And here's another look from the steam train, now that we're here anyway. Hotel guests will eventually be able to enter the Fairytale Forest through this entrance. What stands out to us is that this fairytale seems rather small in size, but it does appear that the surrounding area will cover a considerable surface. Could there perhaps be some surprises in store here? And here are some views of the hotel from various vantage points around the Aquanura pond. Some people hope that the unique clock on the side of the building will play a role in the new Aquanura show, as it aligns with the passage of time theme of the show. However, others are skeptical about this, as the clock is only partially visible. Time will tell who is right. Thank you for watching, and feel free to check out one of these other videos. Don't forget to subscribe and join our socials.